Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton, coming to you today with the next in the series KO event. This is our next fight. We have Wonder Woman versus Lobo. Now, this is a variant cover to that. I actually didn't mean to get the variant, but still going to be a great issue. Guys, I know a lot of you don't like the sunglasses. My eyes are really still hurting. So we're going to put that aside. We're just going to jump right on into the comic because that's what we're here for. So let's go. All right, guys. So this KO event issue, this fight actually opens up a little bit differently than we've seen in the previous ones here, because this one starts out, we're looking at somebody's ugly feet getting their toenails clipped. And I'm sorry if you're a foot person, but they're ugly. Now, they're watching TV and they're kind of flipping through the channels. And while it's not really relevant to the main story, I love the ad that you kind of see or hear, whatever you want to call it, as far as how you take it in. That's playing for the Tranquesa. And it says, for your horrible personality, side effects include rash, uh, lycanthropy, scrotal implosion, and death. I don't know why that was just really funny to me. But the interesting part is, as the person is just kind of flipping through the channels on TV, we see a channel of Wonder Woman and Lobo. And I like that the announcer mentions that the people are gathering at Dooley 7 because that is a planet where Lobo was actually killed once. So we kind of we get a page of multiple shots of Lobo and Wonder Woman. There's a little bit of trash talking going on. It's really all just from Lobo, about how he is the toughest and he can't die. Let's pause. We're gonna rewind a little bit. I feel like we've missed something. They were already kind of beaten up. So let's rewind round one. So we've rewound to the beginning to see the main man standing there in the ring, being hyped up by the announcer, the last Zarnian. Let's pause again. Now, for those of you who don't know about the Zarnians, their race has kind of been retconned a few times, but in most iterations, they're a peaceful race. I know that in Earth 1, when they were the Valorpians, they were actually conquerors, but most of we know of the Zarnians, they are a peaceful race, near immortal, super strong, crazy healing factors on them, um, until Lobo came. Okay, and then as a science project, as he called it, he creates a bunch of creatures that actually wiped out the entire race. Now, Lobo, I mean, when we think of him being a contender here, he's been known to trade blow for blow with Superman, delivering just as good as he gets, and and being able to stay in the fight there again because of that rapid healing factor. And supposedly they can only be killed by their own race. Then we get a glimpse of somebody getting ready for battle, and we see the Wonder Woman cuffs. We see the lipstick going on. It's none other than Diana, the Princess of Themyscira, or as the announcer likes to call her, the Amazon Enforcer, Wonder Woman. Diana enters the ring, ready to kick some Zarnian ass. But this might not be as easy. The main man is hard to put down. So it's kind of interesting to think that the Heart actually created this place, right? It's an actual like boxing arena for them to fight. But then again, like Lobo does love an audience, especially when they're chanting his name. And the battle then starts with Wonder Woman just taking off immediately, delivering several blows right to Lobo. But the main man, being the main man, blocks one of her punches, and then one just devastating blow sends her flying across the ring. She's already bleeding, and she is already, you know, just wrecked. But rather than immediately following up, he does the typical bad guy thing where he's going to gloat and give her time to get the old lasso of truth around his neck and yanks him back. However, it doesn't do much as they do trade a couple more blows before Lobo just wrecks her, puts her down for good. KO. Didn't take much. But then again, she is fighting the main man. Now, if you've been following along and watched the Superman versus Captain Atom video, you know that this is a best of 3 round fight. And after the death, the fighters can then choose their next form from all of the other versions of themselves that exist in the multiverse. So Diana has chosen her full armor mode. Well, I think is what it looks like to me is her golden eagle armor because she's got the wings and even the helmet's kind of got that eagle look. And we see a craft coming at her. And if you know anything about the main man, you know that's his space hog. So, in a Captain America move, Diana throws her shield and knocks Lobo off his bike. But just like Captain Atom in the last fight, when you get your first win, you get that feel of the Omega. And for someone like Lobo, you want more. However, and what I think is kind of bullshit, the heart allows Diana to have a couple of her sisters there in the fight with her. And of course, the heart of Apocalypse, and it even says in there, like, of course, they love female Furies. So obviously, Dark Side, Granny Goodness, female Furies. Um, And I absolutely love though that one of the sisters says, "Who in the new 52 is that?" Because when you see what Lobo looks like in this, this was the redesign for the new 52. And pretty much everybody that was a fan of Lobo hated it. So round 2 starts up with a little more trash talk. So anyways, Lobo starts blasting.
I started blasting. Bang, bang.
Dana swoops down, and in an instant, Lobo realizes he's missing something, his arm. But luckily, one of the sisters has it as she smacks him with it. However, as stated before, Lobo has a super fast healing factor, and his arm is replaced as quickly as it was taken. They continue to fight on, as some of the wildlife seems to be watching and cheering on. Even with three of them, Lobo's holding his own and put a pretty good beat down on the ladies. And yes, I said beat down. That doesn't last very long, as usual. Suddenly, they land several pretty good blows to him. Giggity. And Lobo's on the ground bleeding, and he's talking about mixed signals. Lobo being Lobo, he's always trying to get some. And as he gets up, and I'm just guessing here, but I don't think he's going to be leaving the Themyscirian Hospitality a 5-star review. Could be wrong. He sees Diana riding his hog, the bike, I mean, and boom. Round goes to Diana and her helpers as she takes him out with his own freaking bike. If you ask me, it's cheating. Have multiple people in there. It's cheating. Now, this is where things take a more sarcastic and kind of goofy tone because, we see Lobo and Diana in several different contests with the heart kind of believing that they're pretty evenly matched. We have the Galactic Slap Match from Milton Bradley, and we have Chess Boxing Showdown, Chin Kicking Championship, Karjitsu Invitational. And honestly, if you've already stopped watching, I don't blame you. Finally, getting back to why we are here, the final contest is gladiatorial combat, a good old brawl. Even though Lobo wiped the floor with her pretty easily in the first round. So, without much warning, Lobo unleashes a hailstorm of bullets on Diana, with the side of explosion, sending Diana flying. But as Lobo looks for where she went, we see instead of a lasso this time, Diana sending a grappling hook right into Lobo's back, with the other end kind of wrapped around her sword and shield. And now she's gotten her sword free of the chain, and while Lobo is trying to get the hook out of his back, we see her come flying in ready for a swipe down with the sword. Not this time, Diana. As Lobo sends the hook back to its owner, getting her right in the side. Things aren't looking good for Diana. Lobo, being the hooker that he is. Sorry. Diana stabs Lobo, though, with her sword. And in kind, he breaks her wrist and tells her she can't kill him. Now, normally he's right, because, as I said, the Zarnian race can, in certain iterations, the Zarnians can only be killed by other Zarnians. But this time, though, he references a deal with the Almighty, and it's because of this deal that he can't die. However, he made one mistake. The heart even says that the Almighty seems to have not taken too kindly to Lobo taking his name in vain. Now, extremely interesting here, based off of the look of this guy, one of the two guys we see there in the hat, and the fact that even the heart of Apocalypse, something that literally can create and alter realities and universes, recognizes their power. So, to me, it can be none other than the Presence, the most powerful being in all of the DC multiverse. This is not a god, he is the god. and Lobo's contract is null and void. And with a swift knee to the sword, sends it right through Lobo and kills him. Now, I don't think it was a literal contract that we see the other guy with the presence tearing up. I think it was more of like satire. This is maybe the interpretation of the heart of Apocalypse, but who knows? Now we kind of go back to the if you've been following the last couple of issues here where we do these battles, it's like the last page or two is back on the watchtower, or World Forger and team, they're dealing with the realization that Booster is actually Darkseid. But because Darkseid has chosen to take on Booster as his host, you know, it's he's a weaker host. Obviously, he's a human there. It's kind of a no-brainer that if they go ahead and get rid of the host, they get rid of Darkseid. But doesn't seem like it's going to be so easy. We see Booster looking exhausted from the fight he just had, and of course, World Forger thinking that he's out of juice, he's tired. I think World Forger might be getting a little too confident as we see the Omega beams coming from Booster's eyes, and he puts quick end to the World Forger. However, it looks like we will have to wait and see what happens next in Titans number 30. And that is where this issue ends. All right, guys. I don't know how you guys felt about this one. There were parts that I didn't particularly care for, but there was a lot that was good with it. I loved seeing obviously Lobo. He's had a big week. He's been in this. He was just in. We just reacted to the Supergirl trailer where we got all of maybe 1 second of him. So he's having a pretty big week. I kind of wanted Lobo to win. How do you guys feel about it, for one? And then two, do you think that was the presence? Because when you take the heart of Apocalypse, like allowed them to make some kind of edit in the tournament, you obviously know if the presence wants to do something, the presence is going to do something. There isn't a force in the DC multiverse that's going to stop them. So let me know, do you think that was the presence? How did you feel about this issue? And if you have made it with me this far, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. It definitely helps us out, guys. We don't ask for money. We don't ask, in the beginning to do all this with 2 or 3 minute long intros. We try to keep it short, sweet, to the point for you guys. So, just liking and subscribing is all we ask here at the end. And then if you have your bell notifications clicked, you will get alerted as we continue this path down the KO event, as well as everything we're doing. Like I said, we already reacted to the Supergirl teaser trailer. So, all right, guys, that is going to do it for me on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, I'll see you then.